All right, y'all. Hey, what's up, good people? I'm QC. Welcome to a brand new Talking and Grubbing live stream. How's everybody doing on this Friday? I hope everybody's doing good. I'm doing good. First off and foremost, happy Juneteenth. Hope everybody is just enjoying the holiday, whether you had the day off or whether you worked today. Just hope you just having a good Juneteenth. Well, tonight I'm here because this has been a long time in the making. Today marks the 10th year anniversary of the Cleveland Cavaliers winning the NBA championship. This was their first title in franchise history. Also, they broke the 52-year drought for the city of Cleveland. This was their first major sports title since 1964, since the Cleveland Browns had won it with Jim Brown. Excuse me. Also, they made NBA Finals history by being the first team to ever rally from a 3-1 deficit to win the championship. And they did it against the 73-9 Golden State Warriors, who were just dominant all regular season long, with Steph Curry winning unanimous MVP. Also, Klay Thompson was doing his thing. Draymond was a defensive monster. But also, they had a great bench with dudes like Sean Livingston, Leandro Barbosa, Steve Kerr was the head coach. They were seeking back-to-back championships. They had just won one the previous year by beating the Cleveland Cavaliers in 6 games in the NBA Finals. And this was a matchup everyone was looking forward to. Do Daniel Berry Sports Highlights in the chat. Said, hey, chat, happy Friday. Same to you too, man. Y'all check out his channel. But this is a personal show for me because I was born and raised in Cleveland. I'm a diehard Cleveland sports fan. It was passed down to me from generation to generation. My mom was a Cleveland sports fan. So was my brother. So was my brothers, as well as my uncles and aunts. They were all diehard Cleveland sports fans. So they passed that down to me. And I grew up rooting for all Cleveland teams, whether it was the Cavs, the Browns, the Guardians. I definitely rooted for them. And all my life, I didn't get any championship glory at the end of the rainbow. It ended in a lot of heartbreak. Now, I was too young for things like the fumble, the drive, the shot. I wasn't born for Red Right 88, but watching the Guardians lose that 1997 World Series to the Florida Marlins in extra innings, man, that was painful. But also, now, I really don't count the Cavs getting swept in 2007 in that, because that team wasn't really that good. And nobody thought they would even get to that point. So I don't throw that in. there. I mean, an inexperienced Cavs team went up against a dynasty. I mean, shout out to Mike Brown for winning the NBA title recently with the Knicks. But, he was a young coach trying to figure out how to be a head coach in the NBA. Just like LeBron was just trying to reach his greatness. Got somebody else in the chat. What's up, Cottage? How you doing? Thanks for joining me. Says salute chat room. Oh, of course, Mike Brown. Even Mike Brown didn't win the championship, I would still take him over Dwayne Casey. But like I said, this has been a long time in the making. This is something I had been looking forward to ever since I actually started my channel back in 2016, a little while after the Cavs won the championship. I always said if I was still doing this, I definitely would want to do a show on the 2016 Cleveland Cavaliers. Also, I did a video on the 2016 Cavaliers in 2019 as I ranked them as one of the most unsung NBA champions. Definitely go check out that video. That's one of the most favorite videos I've done here on my platform. I'm definitely proud of that video because that was definitely something personal for me. But as you all know, every championship story has a beginning. And the Cavs 2016 journey is no different. But it didn't begin in 2014 when LeBron came home. It actually began in 2010 with the decision. Now, we all sat up and tuned in on that July 9th in 2010. We were on the edge of our seats, wondering where LeBron was going to go, whether he was going to stay in Cleveland or go to a new team like the Miami Heat. You know, the tea leaves have been definitely pointing towards the direction of the Heat to build a super team down there with Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh. But I'm not going to lie, I didn't want to believe it. I did not want to believe that he was leaving Cleveland because he had promised a championship in Cleveland and he wasn't going to leave. But I was young and naive at the time. I didn't understand the fact that it was a business. So like everybody else, I was sitting watching ESPN, waiting for LeBron to announce where he was going. And LeBron said the infamous or famous sentence. Here it goes right here.
The answer to the question everybody wants to know. LeBron, what's your decision?
In this fall, man, this is very tough. In this fall, I'm going to take my talents to South Beach and join the Miami Heat.
Miami Heat. That was the conclusion you woke up with this morning.
That was the conclusion I woke up with this morning.
Now, when I heard him say that, I was definitely hurt. I was upset, but I wasn't upset that he chose the Heat. I was more upset on how it was done because he went on national TV and it felt like that he embarrassed his hometown. That's just my perspective at the time. You know, I wish he would have just said, hey, I'm leaving for Miami, and that would have been that. But he chose to do it that way. You know, it got a massive donation for the Boys and Girls Club. And also, a lot of people may not know this. Guess who was in the building that night? A young Donovan Mitchell. He was in attendance in that Boys and Girls Club in Greenwich, Connecticut. But I was definitely upset at that time about how it was done. I wish he would have gone a different route. And in my opinion, if he would just said he was going to Miami, maybe a lot of vitriol from Cavs fans wouldn't have came about, especially the burning jerseys. Now, of course, some fans are still going to be upset. That's how the way fans are. But, you know, most Cleveland fans would have understood if he would have went about it a whole different way. And my mom kept on warning me. She said, If LeBron doesn't win the championship this year, he's leaving. But like I said before, I was young. I didn't want to hear that. I didn't. I wanted him to stay in Cleveland. Because when you thought of Cleveland, you thought of LeBron. And LeBron definitely put the Cavs on the map to where, we finally had our superstar. I would see other teams like the Pistons. They had Isaiah, Dumars, Rodman. Later on, Chauncey, Ben, Rashid, Rip, and all those dudes. Of course, the Bulls, MJ, Pippen, Knicks, Ewing, Starks, Pacers, Reggie Miller, Utah, Malone, and Stockton. Of course, LA with Kobe. And of course, Shaq, as well as Magic, Kareem. So that's why I felt the way about it, because in my young mind, LeBron was ours. He was ours. And also a lot of Clevelanders felt like that he struck Cleveland in the heart by doing that. And I don't think that was LeBron's intention at all. He had a lot of issues with Dan Gilbert and the Cavs organization at the time. And I think he was just so caught up in that. I think he didn't realize how much he was hurting the fans until a little while later. And in some ways, when he wrote in his essay, when he announced that he was coming back, that he did regret on doing the special. He didn't regret going to Miami, but he definitely regretted on doing the special, and also regretted not making sure to show the fans more appreciation on his way out the door. But as I've looked back on the decision a little over 15 years later, that was the best thing for Cleveland and the worst thing for Cleveland. The best thing was that the Cavs had a chance to rebuild. The worst thing was the Cavs were going to suck for a while and be a lottery team. But it definitely worked. It definitely worked out for both sides. LeBron went to the Heat. He won back-to-back championships, got to 4 straight finals, and it worked out in the Cavs' favor to get lottery picks. Also, it gave them the opportunity to bring LeBron back one day. All right, I'm going to take a quick pause. I'll be right back, so don't go away. All right, I'm back, good people. Now, the main key to the Cavs rebuild was them winning. The main key to the Cavs rebuild was when they traded the. Excuse me. The key to the Cavs rebuild was when they traded with the Clippers for an aging Baron Davis and an unprotected pick. The Cavs ended up winning the number 1 pick in the 2011 NBA draft lottery. And with that number 1 pick, they drafted Kyrie Irving out of Duke. Now, looking at Kyrie's highlights, he was a great player. He had great handles. He could shoot. He can drive. Man was a scoring beast, but he definitely had some questionable things regarding his availability. He had some injuries while at Duke, but the Cavs took him anyway. And Kyrie definitely was the first star, became the first star Cavs had after LeBron. He was a multiple All-Star, won the three-point shooting contest, and he definitely embraced Cleveland. Also in that draft, the Cavs ended up drafting Tristan Thompson with the 4th pick. And that's where the rebuild started. And that's where the rebuild started. Kyrie definitely carried the Cavs through some dark times. I mean, they definitely had their struggles where they didn't win a lot of games for a few years, but he was that bright spot in a very dark tunnel at the time. He repped the Cavs well. He definitely had people still watching the Cavs, having eyeballs to the TV on the Cavs, regardless of them not winning a lot of games. Also having losing seasons. And Kyrie would definitely be a key factor in the Cavs 2016 NBA championship. Now, I definitely got love for Kyrie. He's still one of my favorite Cavaliers, despite the fact how things may have ended here during his time in Cleveland. But he gave us a lot of great memories. He embraced the city, and he definitely was trying his best to definitely lead the Cavs to a winning culture, but some things don't work out. Also, they definitely got a lot of bad breaks. Excuse me. Also, the Cavs would win the number 1 pick the last 3 out of 4 years. Matter of fact, they would that would definitely piss off a lot of NBA fans and NBA analysis. I remember infamously when the Cavs won the draft lottery in 2014, Bill Simmons went on a tirade during his pregame show for the Eastern Conference Finals, saying that the rules needed to change and that Cleveland was getting too much karma by getting all these, NBA lottery balls. But definitely couldn't do this live without talking about Kyrie, because he definitely helped keep the Cavs relevant. He also paid a huge dividend for the Cavs in 2016. He was the main guy. He was the main star on the team after LeBron. And he definitely kept the Cavs relevant, and definitely kept people paying attention to the Cavs after LeBron left, because a lot of people thought that the Cavs would not get any type of star after LeBron left via the draft and definitely via free agency. But Kyrie definitely proved them wrong. All right, I'm going to take a quick pause. I'll be right back. And we definitely got to talk about one of the biggest announcements in sports. So don't go away. All right, I'm back, good people. Now, some of the biggest announcements in sports have a few simple words. Like when Michael Jordan announced that he was coming back to the NBA, he just wrote on a piece of paper saying, "I'm back," sent it over to the Chicago Bulls, and bam, Jordan was back in the NBA. The Bulls went on to pull off a second three-peat. Or there's been infamous ones. For example, when Pat Riley back in 1995 faxed to the Knicks front office, "I'm done." He quit being the head coach of the New York Knicks and went down to the Miami Heat, where he was not only the head coach, he was also the president of basketball operations. Well, LeBron's announcement wasn't any different in 2014 when he wrote 3 simple words, "I'm coming home," as he wrote an essay via Lee Jenkins and posted it on the Sports Illustrated website to announce that he was coming back to Cleveland after spending 4 years with the Miami Heat, where he won 2 championships in 2012 and 2013 and went to 4 straight NBA finals. LeBron wrote in his essay the love he had for Cleveland, Northeast Ohio. Also, he wrote why he made the decision to come back home. He also gave praise to the Miami Heat organization as well as all of his Heat teammates. But LeBron definitely shook up the NBA landscape and NBA free agency in July 2014 by making this announcement. He was ready to come back home and try to deliver a championship to Cleveland to break the drought, to win the Cavs' first NBA title in franchise history after being away for 4 years, also having issues with Dan Gilbert, the Cavs owner, as well as the fans being upset with him on how he did the decision a few years earlier. Now, according to Dan Gilbert, he flew down to Miami and talked with LeBron as well as his representatives. And they started the conversation talking about the past as well as talking about what transpired the night of the decision. Dan Gilbert writing his infamous letter, which he posted on the Cavs website for 4 years. He took it down right before LeBron came back. And hashed out all whatever issues they had with each other. According to him, they had 4 great years and 1 bad night. Then they started talking about the future on how they could build a championship team around LeBron. They had the assets, as well as the cap space to where they could build that championship team. They already had a budding star there with Kyrie Irving, who had been a 2-time All-Star at that point. Also won the 3-point shooting contest, and they could also trade the number 1 pick, which ended up being Andrew Wiggins, to get another star to join them and create another big 3 here in Cleveland. So LeBron definitely was convinced by wanting to bring a championship to Cleveland because he felt that he owed it to the city, the Northeast Ohio region, to deliver on his promise. And plus, I definitely think he felt bad on how things ended in 2010, especially with the decision, the relationship between him and the fans. He wanted to repair that. So he decided to come back home. Now, I was very excited when LeBron announced he was coming back to Cleveland. I remember being at work that day and listening to 92.3 The Fan, one of the local sports radio stations here in Cleveland, and it was Baskin and Phelps who announced that he was coming back. And as soon as he announced he was coming back, now I had to contain my excitement. But when I got outside, I was definitely happy. Also, I read the essay that he had written via Lee Jenkins, and that definitely struck a chord with me as a Clevelander, how he wanted to come back and try to win a championship for this city, and how much it would mean to him, as well as all Cleveland sports fans everywhere. And he really was definitely focused on ending the drought here in Cleveland. Later on that summer, they would trade Andrew Wiggins to Minnesota, getting Kevin Love, who was an all-star in his own right. He was scoring 20 points per game, averaging 10-plus rebounds per game, and he was a hell of a three-point shooter. So the Cavs had their big three that they needed to start building a team to compete for championships. Later on in that summer free agency, they brought a couple of LeBron's old Heat teammates with them to Cleveland, and James Jones and Mike Miller. Also vets like Brandon Haywood, Sean Marion. But also, they had a defensive passing point guard off the bench in Matthew Dellavedova, a.k.a. Delly. And they felt like they felt like they had something there to start compete for a championship, but GM David Griffin was not done. Later on in the season, he made some big trades. He traded for Timofey Mozgov from the Denver Nuggets, who I had been a fan of after watching him a few times in Denver. But the biggest one was when he traded for J.R. Smith and Iman Shumpert from the New York Knicks. In that trade was Dion Waiters as well as a couple of picks. Now, the Cavs just wanted Iman Shumpert, but they threw in JR. JR was a throw-in. My bad, it was part of a 3-team trade with the Cavs, Knicks, and Thunder. The Knicks got a couple picks. The Thunder got Dion Waiters. So that's my bad. But yeah, JR was a throw-in. JR wasn't getting along with Phil Jackson at the time. So they decided to put him along in that Iman Shumpert trade. And that definitely paid off heavily for the Cavs, especially in the playoffs. JR hit some key buckets. Iman Shumpert came with some great perimeter defense. The Cavs ended up winning the East in 2015, getting to the first NBA Finals since 2007. They went up against the Warriors. Unfortunately, Kevin Love and Kyrie were hurt. Kevin Love ended up being injured in the first round, thanks to Kelly Olynyk pulling out his shoulder. And Kyrie ended up fracturing his kneecap in game 1 of the NBA Finals. And Kyrie had a great game too. He was cooking Steph. He was definitely cooking Steph. I always thought if Kyrie could have stayed in game 1, Cavs would have won that game. So, Delly had to take on more guard duty. Man nearly died guarding Steph. literally after game. Well, a lot of Cavs players have said this, that Delly was getting IVs after games. He nearly literally died guarding Steph and putting himself on the line in that series. But the Warriors would go on to win the championship, their first one since 1975. And Iguodala winning Finals MVP. He made a big difference in the last 3 games. And the Cavs drought would continue. All right, I'm going to take a quick timeout. I'll be right back. So don't go away. I'm going to talk about the 2016 finals. All right, I'm back, good people. Okay, I'm seeing somebody in the chat. Oh, that's just somebody trolling. All right, let's continue. Gotta talk about the 2016 NBA Finals. Now, before I get into that, definitely gotta take you back to what transpired in that season. Now, the Cavs had the best record in the East, but David Griffin decided to make a major shakeup mid-season when he fired head coach David Blatt and replaced him with associate head coach Tyronn Lue. Now, Tyronn Lue had a lot of assistant coach experience, especially with Doc, as he was with him in Boston and LA with the Clippers. But the Cavs offered him more money to come on board to be the associate head coach. And they took him up and they decided to replace him with Blatt mid-season. According to David Griffin, he felt like the team wasn't connecting. A lot of the team was winning, but they weren't connected. They weren't having fun winning. Their body language was off, and it was definitely evident when the Warriors came to Cleveland on MLK Day and blew them out. And one of the things Tyronn Lue did when he took over as the head coach, he wanted the Cavs to be more faster, wanted to improve their conditioning. He felt like they weren't in shape to be ready for the playoffs, especially when they went up against the Warriors in the NBA Finals. And he also wanted to see more ball movement with the Cavs. There were some struggles when Lue first took over, but as the season went on, the Cavs definitely improved heavily under him. They were more conditioned. Also, they were faster. There was better ball movement. They were passing up good shots for great shots. And under Tyronn Lue, after he took over, the Cavs went 27-14. They ended up finishing the regular season 57-25 with the number one record in the East. Now, the first two series against the Detroit Pistons and the Atlanta Hawks, Cavs swept them to go 8-0. Tyronn Lue was the first coach to do that since Pat Riley in 1982, when he won his first 10 straight playoff games. And ironically, he took over coaching the Lakers mid-season when they won that title. But the Cavs would run into some loss. Well, they would go on to dominate the first two games of the Eastern Conference Finals against the Raptors, but the Raptors would get the Cavs later in Toronto in games 3 and 4. But the Cavs would blow them out 2 straight games to take the series in 6 and get back to the NBA Finals for the second straight year. And the matchup we had all been waiting for was finally about to tip off. The Cavs taking on the 73-9 Golden State Warriors. Everybody had been looking forward to this matchup all season long. because some people thought the Warriors title was a fluke because Kyrie and Kevin Love didn't play in the finals the previous year. So the Warriors wanted to prove to everyone that their title wasn't a fluke. That's why they went on this 73-9 run. But now both teams were healthy, and we were about to find out whether that theory was true or not. Game 1, the Warriors would win decisively, but it wasn't because of Steph and Klay. It was because of their bench, specifically Shaun Livingston. Shaun Livingston got hot from mid-range and scored 20-plus points. And the Warriors would go on to win that game. Make sure I have the score right. (104-89). But things didn't get better for the Cavs 2 nights later, as the Warriors would obliterate them 110-77. As a matter of fact, the first 2 games were the biggest combined deficits in the NBA Finals in finals history. But then the Cavs would come back to the land for game 3, and they would turn the tables on the Warriors by beating them 120-90. LeBron had 32. Kyrie definitely had a great game. Tristan had 15 rebounds. But also Kevin Love was out for game 3 due to the fact he suffered a concussion in game 2. So Richard Jefferson started in his place, and he made his first NBA Finals start in 13 years. But the Cavs would lose a tough game 4. The Warriors would get their revenge by beating them 108-97. And the Cavs found themselves down 3-1 here in the NBA Finals. So in order for them to deliver the Cavs' first championship and break the drought, they would have to do something that no team had ever done in NBA Finals history. Come back from a 3-1 deficit to win the championship. Prior to that, only 2 teams had forced game 7 after trailing 3-1, and both of those teams had lost. So the Cavs found themselves with their backs against the wall, down 3-1 against a historically great team that won 73 games, that hadn't even lost 2 games in a row all season. But they get news that Draymond Green will be suspended due to the fact that the hit that he committed on LeBron's family jewels in game 4 was upgraded to a flagrant. Matter of fact, he had been kicking and hitting other players in that region all playoffs, all throughout the playoffs, and that netted him a suspension. Of course, a lot of the national media didn't like the fact that he got suspended. Fans didn't like it. Of course, the Warriors definitely didn't like it. Matter of fact, for game 5, in protest, Bob Myers sat with Draymond Green at an Oakland A's game to show his support for him. So that definitely, gave the Cavs some light at the end of the tunnel. Warriors fans, showed their support for Draymond, having signs for game 5 saying you can't suspend our heart and soul. Free Draymond. But also, the Cavs still felt confident despite the fact they were down 3-1. And LeBron told everybody, If you don't believe, not just LeBron, but as well as Tyronn Lue, they said if you don't believe we can if you don't believe we can win, don't get on the plane. And LeBron felt confident that they could go into Golden State and win Game 5 at Oracle, then come back and win Game 6 in Cleveland, and then anything could happen in a Game 7. So this was the start of the comeback. Game 5, the Cavs went to Oracle Arena in Oakland and dominated, thanks to LeBron and Kyrie both scoring 41 points. Matter of fact, they were the first teammates to ever do that in an NBA Finals game. They just came with clutch shot after clutch shot, especially Kyrie in that fourth quarter. He was a man amongst boys, man. It don't matter who was guarding him, whether it was Clay or anybody else on that Warriors team. Kyrie was cooking them, especially when he hit that turnaround shot on Clay and got the and one. Now, I'll admit, as a Cavs fan, I was definitely nervous watching that game. But once Kyrie hit that three to make it, 109 to 97, I said to myself, we might actually win this game. But the Cavs went into Oakland, took care of business. They got a decisive 112-97 win. The Warriors thought it was going to be a coronation and a celebration. Draymond was going to come into Oracle to a party and a celebration, but that party would have to be on hold as the series shifted back to Cleveland for a decisive Game 6. And Cavs fans, we were all ready for Game 6. Matter of fact, as Mike Breen said, in his call before the start of Game 6, that this was one of the biggest games in franchise history. And he was definitely right. This was definitely the biggest game in franchise history, because the Cavs win Game 6. They still have their chance. Well, they still have their chance, great chances of winning their first championship. If the Warriors would have won, then the Warriors would have celebrated in Cleveland for the second straight year, winning back-to-back titles. But the Cavs came out very dominant in the first quarter. They just took it to the Warriors. Matter of fact, early going, they led 31-9. But of course, the Warriors, they're too great of a team to be down that much. And they got some things going. But for the most part, it was the Cavs. And they took a big lead after the first half. But second half, the Warriors went on a big run, thanks largely to Klay Thompson, as he was hitting 3 after 3. Matter of fact, he had cut the Warriors deficit to as low as 9. And I was definitely nervous because I did not want them to come back and win Game 6 and celebrate on the Cavs floor again in Cleveland. But LeBron and Kyrie did their thing, especially LeBron. He had 41 once again. But an unsung hero in this game, or the unsung heroes in this game, were dudes like Tristan Thompson, who had a double-double, as well as J.R. Smith, who had 20 points. And he hit some major threes. Thompson was a beast on the boards. And he was just dunking. Every alley-oop was thrown to him by LeBron. Also, Dante Jones and Mo Williams, who hadn't played that much in the playoffs, they had to come in for some crucial minutes due to the fact players such as Iman Shumpert and Richard Jefferson got into foul trouble. So they played some key minutes. but the Cavs would go on to win Game 6, 115-101, to set up a decisive Game 7. All right, so Game 7 was going to come down to either two things. The Warriors were going to cap off the greatest regular season in NBA history, or the Cavs were going to cap off the greatest comeback in NBA Finals history. Only one result was going to come out of this game. Matter of fact, heading into Game 7, both teams had scored a combined 699 points. So some had to give. And whoever broke the scoring tie was going to be the 2016 NBA champion. And back and forth we went in Game 7 from the opening tip. We had many lead changes. We had a lot of ties. But the Warriors would take a 7-point lead at halftime. But the Cavs, they have fought in these last two games to get themselves back in this series, and they would have to fight once again. But the third quarter run wasn't started by LeBron or Kyrie. It was started by J.R. Smith, as he came out in that third quarter just firing all kind of shots. He hit some big threes. He also hit a couple twos. But then mid to late third quarter, Kyrie ended up starting to cook. He was getting to his spots, getting layups, also hitting some jumpers as well as a three. Warriors did not have an answer for him. Matter of fact, it was this one move he did on Festus Ezeli where he got an and one. And he went around him like he wasn't there. But the Warriors are too great of a team to be down for that long. They went on a run of their own. Draymond and Clay hit some key shots. Steph hit a major three to tie the game. Livingston ended up getting a running dunk in the final seconds of the third quarter. And this was setting up to be a magnificent fourth quarter. Which team was going to take the NBA championship? And it didn't disappoint. Kyrie made got a big putback early on in the fourth quarter as he got his own miss on the layup. As he flew up in the air against Draymond to get that putback. But of course the Warriors weren't going to be denied. Clay hit a two. First it was initially called a three, but on the replay he had his foot on the line, so it was a two. So it stayed. So it was 85-83 Warriors. Then Draymond, he got a big putback to to give the Warriors an 87-83 lead. But then LeBron on the other end forced the foul on Ezeli on a three-point attempt. He hit three free throws to cut it to one. Then Cavs played defense on the Warriors to get the ball back, and LeBron hit a step back three to give the Cavs an 89-87 lead. and neither team would score for 3 or 4 minutes. But that doesn't mean some highlight plays were not going to happen here in this game. And I'm going to tell it to you when I come back. So don't go away. All right, I'm back, good people. See somebody in the chat. What's up, Professor Bell? Says shout out talking and grubbing me, bro. I'm doing good. How you doing? All right, let me continue. Now, more on the comeback. Now, as I was saying, both teams couldn't score for over 4 minutes, but that doesn't mean there wasn't a few highlights here during that time. Off of a Kyrie miss, LeBron would go back and make one of the most, some people argue it's the most iconic play, but a lot of people feel it's the most iconic play in NBA Finals history. And I'm about to show it to you.
Iguodala to Curry, back to Iguodala, up for the layup. Oh, blocked by James. LeBron James with the rejection. Wow. His third block of the game.
Now, off of the Kyrie missed layup, the Warriors had numbers. They were running the fast break. Steph and Iguodala were running the two-man game as Steph gave up his offense to pass the ball to a driving Andre Iguodala. He thought he had the layup that would give the Warriors the lead, but J.R. Smith got back just in time to shade him to throw off his sight, and then LeBron came from behind and blocked his shot. And that's one of the most iconic calls in Mike Breen's career. Like I just mentioned, is one of the most iconic plays in NBA Finals history. And LeBron's block, which set up Kyrie Irving to make one of the biggest shots, not only in Cavs history, but in NBA Finals history. He had been dreaming of this moment all of his life. He was inspired by Kobe. So he channeled his inner Kobe to go ahead and step up right here in this moment.
Come up on a minute remaining, and they're putting Curry in the pick and roll, trying to get him on Irving. Irving and Curry, one-on-one. Irving puts it up. It's good. Kyrie Irving from downtown. Fourth quarter for Cleveland, including this one. They came out of the timeout set to get Steph Curry on Kyrie Irving. They get exactly what they want. Everybody out of my way. It's time to dance. Gets him one-on-one, lulls him to sleep, forces a late contest. That's a big-time offensive play by Kyrie Irving, but it's a play he's made his entire life. The ability to score and flat out get it done on the offensive end. Irving now with 26 and back in Cleveland.
All right, so Kyrie would hit the go-ahead three-pointer to give the Cavs a 92-89 lead with 53 seconds left to go. Now, we all know the Warriors had been clutch all season. They had two of the greatest shooters on their side in Steph and Klay. And they could hit a shot from just about anywhere. So you definitely didn't want to leave nothing. So the Cavs didn't want to leave nothing to chance with them. Now, Kevin Love ended up being switched on him, and he didn't have the reputation of being a great defender, not even a decent defender. But in this moment, he played the biggest defense of his career on the greatest shooter in the world in the final seconds.
And I like the no timeout call by Steve Kerr.
Love picks up Curry. Curry steps back, fakes a three, drives again, shut off nicely. Found to Green, 7 to shoot. Curry fakes the three, steps back, crossover, puts up a three. Rebound James with 30 seconds remaining.
All right. So Kevin Love got the stop on Steph. And he stayed with him step for step, stride for stride, forced him into an uncomfortable, highly contested three. LeBron secures the rebound. And a few moments later, LeBron was stepped to the line for two. He missed the first, but he riled in the second one to give the Cavs a 93-89 lead. And they were a few seconds away from making history, as well as winning the Cavs' first NBA championship. They just needed one more stop. Oops, excuse me. They just needed one more stop to be champions. So here it is.
To Jeff Van Gundy.
Iguodala to inbound. Shumpert trying to stay with Curry. Catches one dribble, steps back, puts up a three. Won't go. Rebound tip taken by Spades. Final seconds. It's over. It's over. Cleveland is a city of champions once again. The Cavaliers are NBA champions. Cleveland's long sports nightmare has ended. The drought is over. 52 years. Time to celebrate a title. And the emotions for LeBron James, who delivers on his promise to come home and bring a championship to his beloved hometown.
All right, so the Cavs completed the comeback. They became the first team to rally from a 3-1 deficit in the NBA Finals to win an NBA title. They also broke Cleveland's 52-year drought of not winning any championships in any pro sport. And this championship came in the most Cleveland way, having to make history. Now, a lot of things went against Cleveland teams. This time, this one went in Cleveland's favor. LeBron was named unanimous Finals MVP as he led both teams in all 5 categories in points, rebounds, assists, steals, and blocks. Also, he had a triple-double in Game 7, where he finished with 27, 11, and 11. But Kyrie definitely did his thing as well, as he scored 25 points, in Game 7. And he also had a great series. He scored 25 points per game. Matter of fact, at that time, that was the highest point average by a LeBron teammate until Anthony Davis did it in the 2020 NBA Finals. So LeBron kept his promise. He delivered a championship to Cleveland. Also, you can tell the burden was off of him as he broke down and cried after the buzzer sounded. He was finally happy that he finally got it done. And also, a lot of us was just ecstatic that night. I remember watching it here in my apartment with my brother, who passed away in 2022, my sister-in-law, and a friend of our, well, an associate of our family. We just all hollered, celebrated, just couldn't believe it. The first person I ran to was my brother, and I just hugged him and said, yes, we finally did it. Finally. Then later on that night, me and my best friend rode to downtown Cleveland. We ended up on West 25th Street in Ohio City, celebrate with all of Cleveland. But on our way there, now in the East 55th area, there are 4 intersections. All 4 intersections were packed that night. If we wanted to, we could have just had our own block party right there. But it was definitely a massive block party downtown, especially when we were on West 25th. Everybody was just hugging each other. I had a couple that I never met. They just both hugged me that night. Also, the RTA bus rolled past, and everyone on the bus was going crazy, yelling. The driver was honking the horn. Man, it felt surreal. And I also thought, I thought about my mother who passed in 2012, and that night I swore I felt her in my apartment celebrating with us, because she really hoped that she had saw a Cleveland championship in her lifetime. But you know what? I'm just going to say some of this when I come back from my perspective. Don't go away. All right, I'm back, good people. Now, I'm here with my perspective. After the Cavs won the 2016 NBA championship, LeBron said these iconic words to Doris Burke during his post-game interview.
Cleveland, this is for you. No.
Oh, my bad. And when LeBron said those words, I definitely felt that because this was for us. This was for Cleveland. For all the things we had gone through as a fan base for 52 years. And finally, we got our title. We had a chance to celebrate. We were going to look forward to a championship parade. You know, I'm so grateful I got a chance to experience that with my oldest, well, both of my brothers, as well as my sister-in-law, my best friend. But I also thought about all my family members that had passed away, who never got a chance to see this championship come to fruition. And I really wished I could have celebrated that moment with them as well. But then on June 22nd, 2016, there was a parade in downtown Cleveland. All Cavs fans converged on downtown Cleveland. Cavs fans from Cleveland, the Cleveland area, and a good number of them, you know, flew in from out of town just to experience this parade. It was 1.3 million in downtown Cleveland. Man, I'll never forget being at the parade. Man, I felt like I was 10 feet tall that day. I felt like I was on top of the world. And people did all kind of crazy stuff during the parade. People scaled parking garages, went up on roofs of buildings, stood up on top of bus shelters, anywhere, just so they can get a glimpse at the Cavs and all the players from that championship team, as well as get a glimpse at the trophy. Also, the parade was only supposed to be about 5 or 6 hours. It turned out to be 9 hours because there wasn't enough police barricades between the fans and the players' trucks driving through the parade route. No, yeah, I said that. Trucks. Each player drove in their own truck. There was no double-decker bus like it's been for a lot of other championship parades. So all Cavs fans got a chance to see all the players, wave to them, shake their hands. Matter of fact, in a recent video with one of the players, I want to say it was Mo Williams, he said that they were so close to the fans, no matter which side they were on, they could reach out and just high five, fist bump, whatever. As he said, matter of fact, Nick, he said one of those trucks ran over a person's feet because people just wanted to just be close to see the Cavs, to just get a high five from them, just to say thank you for what they did for the city of Cleveland. And man, it was just such a fun time being down there in downtown Cleveland. I saw a few people I hadn't seen in a while that were at the parade. It was just a fun, man. It was just a fun time for the most part. 1.3 million of us finally being in downtown Cleveland for a championship parade. And it was so cool to see Jim Brown passed the torch from him to LeBron by handing off the Larry O'Brien trophy to LeBron. 1964 to 2016. Excuse me. And this title definitely was important to us. All the other things that happened in Cleveland sports history, the fumble, the drive, red right 88, the 97 World Series, just became a part of the story, not the story. And also, I forgot to mention this earlier, around that time, the documentary Believeland aired as part of the 30 for 30 series on ESPN. It aired during the Eastern Conference Finals. Excuse me. Then a few weeks after it aired, they re-aired it again, but this time they re-aired it with the ending of the Cavs winning the NBA championship and all of downtown Cleveland celebrating. And it was cool to see during the ending credits that they invited Ernest Biner to join them on the parade route, because he was definitely happy to finally see them break through, because he felt the pain of the fumble. A lot of fans gave him a lot of flack over that, and he took that to heart for a long time. He felt like he let the city down. He let the Browns fans down. But this finally definitely healed a lot of wounds for him. And I think this championship also healed a lot of wounds for Cleveland. It definitely healed a lot of wounds for me. It helped me and a lot of other fans move on from the decision in 2010, because LeBron came back and he delivered on his promise, and Cleveland had his championship. Matter of fact, I was downtown today for the Cavs 10th anniversary celebration, and man, I felt like I was back in 2016 all over again. You know, watching the replay of Game 7. Matter of fact, all of us was back in 2016 watching the rewatching Game 7. We all know how the game ended, but we still weren't sure. We thought that this was a dream and the Cavs ended up losing. And when LeBron did got the block on Iguodala, when Kyrie hit the 3 over Steph and Kevin Love got the stop, we all were sitting up at that watch party just cheering, just like we were just watching Game 7 for the first time all over again. And we definitely cheered when the buzzer sounded. The Cavs won the championship, and the Cavs received the Larry O'Brien trophy. It was one of the best moments of my lifetime, and I'm definitely hoping for another championship sometime soon for Cleveland. Matter of fact, before the Cavs won in 2016, I never said if they win a championship, I'll be at the parade. I always said when they win the championship, I'll be at the parade. All right, I'm going to take a quick pause. I'll be right back, because this has been an interesting debate between the 2016 Cavs and the Knicks team that just won the NBA championship. I'll be right back, so don't go away. All right, I'm back, good people. Now, recently on social media, there's been a debate which team would win if they played against each other. The 2016 Cavs or the 2026 Knicks that just won the NBA championship. Well, former Cav and Knick J.R. Smith gave his response to a fan that asked that question.
Who is guarding Brunson? Who is guarding LeBron James? Huh? He said, who's guarding Brunson? Me. I guard him. Then we're going to put Shump on him. Then what? Then what? Then what? You know the little guy that everybody swears I don't like or we don't like? The little guy, number 2? Who's guarding him? Who's guarding K-Love? Bro, if you don't knock it off, OG is guarding Bron. You see what happened the last time he did that. Stop it, bro. I get it. You a fan. You excited. Everybody's excited. They won a championship. It's the excitement around it all. I get it. Just don't act crazy, bro. Don't step out there and do that. Don't do that, bro. Relax. Like, let's relax. Seriously. Seriously. We got a good thing. We got a good thing going on right now. Just relax. Please, just relax. Just don't. Now you're trying to cause fusion between me and the Knicks and shit. Like, bro, stop it, bro. Go get a hobby. Go.
All right. That was J.R. Smith's response to that post and to that question. Now, I think the 2016 Cavs would have an advantage over the Knicks team. You know, OG wouldn't have had an answer for prime LeBron. Matter of fact, LeBron cooked OG when he was playing with the Raptors. Y'all remember that floater he hit in Game 3 of the 2018 playoffs? OG was guarding LeBron. Also, Brunson wouldn't have had no answer for Kyrie. Kyrie would abuse Brunson. Also, JR definitely would have been hitting threes on either Hart or Bridges. The only advantage the Knicks would have had was Cat over Kevin Love. That's the only advantage they would have over the 2016 Cavs. Because Love wasn't known as a great defender, and Cat is more stronger and physical and more lankier than Kevin Love. He would have had an advantage there in that matchup between him and Love. But the other matchups would favor the Cavs. Now, a lot of Knicks fans are excited, are getting caught up in the excitement. They finally won the championship. They broke their 53-year drought. But let's, like JR said, don't get carried away now. Y'all got a good thing going, but don't get carried away. Like, y'all great, but no, y'all not like the Dynasty Warriors. Win more first before you start those type of conversations. That's all he was saying. But them finally breaking that drought, last weekend in San Antonio was similar to what the Cavs went through in 2016 when they broke the drought for Cleveland. Now, with the Knicks, that was just a drought for them as a franchise, not as a city. NYC has seen multiple championships over the last 53 years. The Yankees won 7. Excuse me, with Reggie Jackson, Derek Jeter, Mariano Rivera, CC Sabathia, and all those dudes. The Giants won 4 Super Bowls with Phil Simms, Lawrence Taylor, Eli Manning, Michael Strahan. The first two teams were coached by Bill Parcells with Bill Belichick as his defensive coordinator. Then the Strahan, Eli Manning teams were coached by Tom Coughlin. Also, the Mets won a World Series in '86. The Rangers won the Stanley Cup in '94 with Hall of Famer Mark Messier. But imagine being a city that hadn't won anything in over 50 years. That's way more pressure. The Knicks drought was just a drought for them as a franchise. This Cavs team had a whole city on their back. But, I went off on a little tangent there. But all day, the 2016 Cavs would definitely beat the Knicks. All right, good people, I'm going to wrap it up here. I thank y'all for joining me on this live stream. It was fun to reminisce and relive the Cavs 2016 NBA championship. It was historic. It was one of the best moments of my lifetime. It was fun looking back to celebrate. Also, I'm working on a video of my experience of being at the 10th anniversary celebration. That should be up within the next few days. Can't wait to post that for y'all. So y'all definitely check it out. And also, if you watch the replay, I want to know your comments on the 2016 championship. And I'll definitely be back live with y'all soon with the live nightly digital show. So until then, y'all have a good one. Love y'all to life. Salute. Y'all be safe. Enjoy the rest of your night. Enjoy your day. Have a safe, blessed weekend. Also, enjoy the rest of the holiday. I'm off. See y'all later.